Welcome everyone. Today we'll be doing a quick video covering all of the different order types available at Webull and how they can be used. Coming down here and taking a look at the order entry tool, you can see that I currently have an open order ticket on my screen to buy one share of this particular stock, and at the moment I've got the order type selected as a limit order. In order for you guys to adjust that and actually use all of the other order types available at Webull, we simply need to click on that, and then all of the order types available to us will display right down below. Now, the very first of these that we're going to be discussing is going to be the market order, and if we go ahead and click on that, you are now specifying that you only want to buy or sell this share immediately, and you'll take whatever the current price is. So if you guys are looking to get into or out of a position as fast as possible, a market order will probably be your best bet. In general, it's totally fine to use these for both stocks and ETFs. Just be cautious using them on options, since the best price available might not necessarily be a fair price. But again, a market order will simply be used to get your order filled immediately, and it is important to remember that this will only work during the regular market session, so 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Now, the next order type that you guys have available to you, if we click on the order type here, is going to be a limit order. Now, this type of order is going to be used if you guys have a specific price in mind and you only want to buy or sell the stock at this price or better. For example, you can see here that this stock is actually currently trading for $6.13. But let's say I only wanted to buy it if it dropped down to $5. So I could go ahead and click in there, type in 5 and hit enter. So now with this limit order, with me specifying the price at $5, I'm saying, hey Webull, you better not buy me this share unless you can get it for $5 or better. And I could also make this, instead of just being a day order, I could flip it over to a good until cancel order, so it goes out every single day. And I could also come over here to where it says extended hours no, and flip it over to yes, to actually include the pre and post market. So over here at Webull, that's going to be from 4 a.m. to 8 p.m. Eastern Time, and it'll actually be the only order type that you can use in the pre and post market. So again, if you guys have a specific price in mind that you want to buy or sell for, that's going to be a limit order. Next up here, you guys do have the ability to flip it over from a limit order to a stop order. Now, these stop orders can be used to either exit out of a current position before you lose too much money, so basically like to protect your position, or it could also be used to enter a brand new position if you see a potential breakout. So in that very first example, protecting against excessive losses, let's actually say I already had one share of SoFi in this account, and I wanted to cut my losses if it ever dropped below, let's say $6 a share. So in that example, if I already had one share and I wanted to sell it if it hit 6, I do need to come up here and flip it over from a buy ticket to a sell ticket. I would then come over here to the right and adjust that stop activation price from $6.09 down to $6. So again, what I'm essentially saying is, if SoFi ever drops below 6, get me out of this thing because I don't want to lose any more money. And if it does hit 6 or lower, a market order will immediately go out there and I'll sell it for whatever the next best available price is. Now on the flip side of that, I could also use it to open up a brand new position. So again, let's say I don't have a position on SoFi, so I'm going to come over here and flip it back over from sell to buy. I'm going to go ahead and leave it set as a stop order, but let's now say I only wanted to buy SoFi if it popped above, let's say 660, because if it did that, I thought it was going to have a breakout and have a nice little run up. So now I could come over here to the stop activation price, adjust that up to $6.60. And again, I'm essentially saying if SoFi goes at or above $6.60, go ahead and buy me one share with a market order. Now, the main concern with using a stop order or stop market order is that technically you don't know exactly what price you'll end up filling for. So you don't know what price you're going to buy or sell these shares at. Now, we do have the ability to set the activation price, but keep in mind that only works during regular market hours. And once that actually triggers, it's going to put out a market order for whatever the next best price is. So let's say we did have a share of SoFi and we wanted to get out of it if it ever dropped down to 6 or lower. Well, let's say it actually stays above 6 the entire trading day, but then in the after hours, some really bad news comes out and it drops all the way down to 550. Unfortunately, since that move happens in the after hours, nothing is going to happen until the market opens back up at 9:30 a.m. Eastern Time. Then as soon as it does, that stop is going to activate immediately since the price of the stock is below our activation price of $6. But the best price available is all the way down to $5.50 and way below what we were expecting to sell these shares for. So just try and keep that in the back of your mind that stops, yes, can be a great way to protect your position, but also are not going to work in the after hours and you don't necessarily have a guaranteed price locked in. Now the next order type that we're going to discuss, a stop limit order, actually tries to correct for that. So let's come over here and flip this over from a stop to a stop limit. I'll also come back up here and change this over from a buy ticket to a sell ticket, because again, you guys will generally use these as a way to exit your position and hopefully stop yourselves from taking on too great a loss. Now with a stop limit order, you guys will still set your stop activation price, and in this case, we'll go ahead and keep it set as $6, just like in the previous example. But then after that, you get to specify the absolute lowest price that you'd be willing to sell these shares for, and that's going to be the limit price right here. So in this example, let's say I would never want to sell these shares for anything less than, let's say $5.90. Go ahead and put in $5.90, but you can see the stop activation price is still $6. So now with this new example, just like before, if SoFi were to drop down to, let's say $5.50 in the after hours, in the morning our stop would still activate just like before, except this time, instead of a market order going out there, a limit order would go out there. And now with this limit order, we're basically saying I would only want to sell these shares if I could get $5.90 or better. And since it's trading all the way down to $5.50, we wouldn't end up selling our shares. Now the major downside with this type of order is the fact that this trade might not ever fill. SoFi might not ever go back above $5.90 again, in which case I'm holding these shares forever and I'm losing money as it continues to go down. But if you guys are comfortable holding those shares if that were to ever happen, then this might be the order type for you. Neither the stop order or the stop limit order is ever going to be perfect since we don't know what's going to happen next, but that's how they work. Now finally, the very last basic order type that we're going to discuss is the trailing stop order. So let's come over here and flip this over from a stop limit to a trailing stop order. A trailing stop is actually going to be very similar to the previous two examples, meaning you'll generally use it as a way to cut your losses if the stock price ever goes against you. However, instead of the stop and stop limit order where you actually set a very specific price, with a trailing stop, we instead set a trailing amount. So instead of saying if the stock ever drops down to 6, get me out, we're instead saying if the stock ever drops 50 cents or 10%, get me out. And as the stock price moves up, our stop will actually move up along with it, always trailing it by that set amount. So as an example, let's say we actually did have one share of SoFi, and we can see here that SoFi is currently trading for about $6.15. Let's also say that I wanted to put out a trailing stop 50 cents behind the current price. So in this case, I'm going to come up here to the dollar amount and I'm going to go ahead and type in 50 cents here. And now if I were to actually place this right now, what I'm saying is if the stock ever drops 50 cents from this current price, so in this case, 50 cents below $6.15, my stop would go in at $5.65. Now that would just be where the stop goes in initially, and hopefully that stock is going to go up, and as it does, my stop will actually move up along with it, always following it by 50 cents. So let's say it does. Let's actually say SoFi runs up to $7 without ever dropping down 50 cents. That would actually mean that my stop moved up as well, all the way up to $6.50, 50 cents below that new high. Then if SoFi were to ever actually drop 50 cents, and in this case it would mean going back down to $6.50, a market order would get submitted and get me out of the stock immediately. Now I know that one is a little bit more complicated than the others that we talked about, but with a little bit of practice you guys will get the hang of it. Now besides the basic order types that we just discussed, the ones that you can find right here in the Orders tab, you guys also have the ability to create more advanced orders, things like bracket orders. That's actually going to be when you want to have multiple different orders all working at the exact same time. And an example of that could be if I wanted to buy this stock if it ever dropped down to 5, and then if that ever happened, I wanted to sell it for 10 or get stopped out if it ever dropped down to 4. So there you can see I've got an opening trade to buy it. Then if that ever happens, I want to sell it for a profit or get stopped out if I ever lose too much money. So basically you got 3 different orders all rolled into one. And in order to do that, we would simply come over here to the left-hand side of our order ticket to the strategy tab and just go ahead and click on the word single here. That'll then open up a little sub menu with all of the advanced order types available to us. And for right now, I just want to click on the one that says first trigger stop. You'll then see that 2 other order tickets open up right below that. And for this one, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. So let me flip that back over to buy. And now we can actually specify the price we want to buy this stock for. So I think I said I wanted to buy it if it ever dropped down to 5. And now it could actually come down here and say if it ever drops down to 4, get me out of it. So use a stop order to get me out. Then if it goes up to 10, I also want to sell it for a profit if it goes up to 10, because that sounds pretty good to me. And I could also come over here and make these orders good until canceled if I wanted to. And again, the way I have this thing set up right now is I'm essentially saying is if SoFi ever drops down to 5, buy me 1 share of stock. Then if it were to drop even further, I don't want to lose too much money, so get me out if it ever drops down to 4. But also if it goes up to 10, sell it because I want to take that $5 of profit off the table. But those are going to be all the order types that you guys currently have available to use within Webull, and hopefully you all feel a lot more comfortable with them after this video. I have made a bunch of other tutorials on Webull, and I will continue to make more, so definitely check those out. And if you guys did have some other questions or video suggestions, leave them down below, and also hit that like button if you did find this video useful. But that really wraps up today's video on all the order types available in Webull and how to use them. I hope you guys all have a great rest of your week, and I'll catch you on the next video.